I knew the clown was about to say something idiotic the second he turned off his blurred mountainscape zoom background. There he was, Logan, the freshly minted VP of Technology, smug in his San Diego high-rise office, looking like he was auditioning to play executive villain number 3 in some budget cable drama. "Carla, we truly value your contributions." He began, his voice as slick and artificial as dollar store cologne. "But we're moving toward a more agile, holistic team model. Unfortunately, your skill set hasn't really aligned with that vision." Translation: you didn't fake laugh at his Slack memes or pretend to be amazed when he called Kubernetes wizardry. Just like that, nearly 4 years of building out their enterprise architecture from the ground up was being swept aside by a guy who thought uptime meant good vibes. Carla didn't blink. Not from shock, she'd seen it coming. She was just cold now, like the first snap of winter air off Lake Michigan in November. This was the same company that once held a gratitude week instead of offering health benefits with real coverage. The same one that promoted every mediocre bro named Chase within 9 months of hiring. So she leaned in, kept her face flat, and said absolutely nothing. Then came HR someone named Brielle, her voice softer than microwaved marshmallows. "Carla, do you have any questions about the severance or NDA?" "Nope," she said calmly. "Thanks." Here's what Logan didn't know. He didn't know that every layer of Ravenhold Systems infrastructure, the user auth flow, CI/CD pipelines, AWS provisioning, even the dark mode UI themes ran through Carla's design. A fortress of microservices, she containerized herself, each nested within another like clockwork. And it all depended on a single encryption key, not one stored on a shared cloud drive, not one emailed or written down. It was air-gapped, generated on a Raspberry Pi Zero, taped behind the sink in her one-bedroom apartment in Normal Heights, right next to a leaky bottle of bleach and a cracked coffee grinder. It wasn't revenge, it was architecture. But the collapse, that might just be a side benefit. And when she saw the intern, Jason Perry, listed as the new project lead, Carla nearly snorted. Jason, the kid who once asked if restarting the internet would fix the bugs. The same one who sent her a meme captioned, "It worked on my laptop and thought he deserved a TED Talk." She closed the laptop, walked to the balcony, took in the salty Pacific breeze. It beat the smell of corporate rot. But listen, I'm trying to hit my first 10,000 subscribers, and you smashing that sub button helps more than you think. Seriously, just one click. That's all. Okay, back to the wreckage. Carla didn't announce what she'd done. Didn't need to. She left Slack with a wave emoji, exported her email archive to a secure drive, and wiped her credentials like a seasoned ghost. No teary goodbye. No farewell to the best team post, just silence. The kind that settles before everything goes boom. That night, curled on the couch watching reruns of Frasier with her cat, her phone buzzed. Subject to hi. Sender Jason Perry. She didn't even open it. Just smirked, sipped her red blend, and marked it unread. The storm hadn't landed, but it was coming. And Carla. She had the only umbrella. 6:43 p.m. Message body. "Hey Carla. Sorry to bug you. LOL. Logan said you might have the Jenkins API creds. Also not sure how to deploy staging containers. I tried Docker Hub but got a ton of errors. If you could help, that'd be awesome. TAX." Carla read it once, snorted, and shut the laptop with the same calm you'd use to fold a napkin after watching someone step in gum. He spelled Jenkins. Jenkins wrote API lowercase and somehow mixed up Docker Hub with GitHub and both with Heroku. The kid had the technical instincts of a tossed salad. She pictured him hunched over his borrowed MacBook in that trendy, echoey, open-plan office, surrounded by cold brew kegs and fake plants, sweat beading under his Ravenhold hoodie. She didn't reply. Not yet. Instead, she opened her encrypted archive, a clean copy of the full Ravenhold backend schematic. Fully versioned, legally timestamped, locked down tighter than a squirrel's winter stash. Then she added his email. Labeled it contact attempt. #1. Carla wasn't being cruel. Not really. She just knew how this story ended. And it was safer to stay outside the blast radius. Ravenhold's leadership had built their empire on her infrastructure. Then fired her, lit a match, and handed the extinguisher to a guy who thought Bash was a startup accelerator. She chuckled at the thought of Logan pacing in his office, fake Rolex glinting, wondering why every time he clicked deploy, the vision kept crashing into a 502 wall. They didn't even realize the key was missing yet. Still stuck in denial, still assuming some contractor from a budget dev shop would swoop in and save the day. Someone who called everything trivial, but there was nothing trivial about it. The access points were sealed. The IAM roles locked. The secrets vaults required a checksum chain that only Carla knew how to trigger. Even if Jason somehow found the command line, it would read like encrypted gibberish to anyone who hadn't built it. A few hours later, she reopened his email. The more she stared at it, the funnier it got. He'd signed off with a smiley face, like this was a group assignment in Intro to Java, not a high-stakes enterprise system holding sensitive financial data across 3 continents. No logs, no error reports. Just vibes and a desperate emoji. Carla shook her head and forwarded it. Not to Jason, not to Logan, to her offline archive. Subject documentation trail, Ravenhold, contact attempts, attachment email. 1. Jason Perry, a high. She'd spent years swallowing pride at that company, playing team player while covering for everyone's missed deadlines. They didn't want the real her, just the fixer. The quiet genius with no ego. Well, ego had left the chat. Around midnight, she checked LinkedIn. Jason had updated his title to lead DevOps intern, Ravenhold Systems. His banner image, one of those AI-generated techno-abstract messies with glowing triangles and neon hex grids. Carla hit follow, not to gloat, just to watch the crash in real time. By the week's end, 3 more emails came in, each one a little more panicked. But Carla had gone completely radio silent, because silence, when used correctly, is louder than any explosion. By Thursday, Ravenhold's Slack resembled a digital ER. Engineering marketing product all frantically pinging. Jenkins pipelines through segmentation faults. Staging environments froze at container hash 4. Backend logs were overflowing with silent failures and timeouts, exactly what she'd warned them about in a 32-page transition doc they never read. Legacy services still running on a custom-patched Linux fork she built in 2020 flat out refused to authenticate. The system wasn't broken. It was just rejecting everyone who didn't build it. Someone finally had the brilliant idea to hire a contractor from a dev shop in Austin. The guy showed up on Zoom in a backward cap, said this should be easy before even hearing the issue. 2 hours later, he was locked out of everything and marked unavailable on Slack. The truth, Carla hadn't broken a single thing. Not one line of code. What she'd done was build a security-first infrastructure that's self-isolated when handled by the wrong hands. Her architecture was intentionally cautious. Encrypted storage volumes with rotating salts. Microservices that authenticated using ephemeral tokens all tied to one private key stored on a Raspberry Pi that now lived under her sink beside a half-used sponge and expired soy sauce packets. If stories like this speak to something you've lived or something you've quietly survived, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss what comes next, because the fire's just getting started. They didn't even know the key was gone, just that everything was failing and fast. By Friday morning, Carla's phone buzzed. New email, subject, platform malfunctions, and potential policy violations. From compliance, Ravenhold Systems, body Carla. We have reason to believe certain components you managed may have been left in a deliberately non-functional state. This could violate your post-employment agreement. Please confirm all systems were left in operable condition. Failure to respond may lead to legal action. Carla read it, microwaved her lunch, and propped her feet on the coffee table. She hit reply. Subject, RE platform malfunctions. Body. You had every opportunity to keep me. Good luck. Send. Archive. Done. Then she went back to filling out her onboarding packet for a new company, one where the CTO actually read her Git commits and didn't explain Docker like it was Dropbox for nerds. Meanwhile, Ravenhold was unraveling. Logan was spiraling into conspiracy mode, accusing Carla of sabotaging the entire codebase. He even cornered a junior dev and demanded a list of everything Carla ever touched. Spoiler, that was everything. Even the Office coffee machine API ran through a monitoring node she'd written one snowy December just for fun. Her name was now company legend, whispered like a haunted bedtime story. Don't say Carla too loud or the CI/CD demons might come back. Still, no one had found the missing key. They were guessing at configs, reverse engineering their own platform like toddlers building IKEA furniture with a salad fork. And Carla, she stayed silent. Not out of spite, out of principle. You don't slap someone for being stupid. You just let gravity do its thing. You let gravity do its job when someone jumps off the roof convinced they can fly. By Sunday night, Carla got one last message from Jason. Just a subject line and a single sentence. Subject, please body. Everything's broken. I don't know what to do. She didn't open it. Just poured herself a glass of wine, opened a fresh tab in her offline archive, labeled collapse phase, and started logging timestamps. Chaos wasn't coming. It was already here. Later that night at 2:16 a.m., another one arrived. Subject urgent. Can we talk? From Jason Perry, body. Carla, I know you probably hate me. I'm really sorry. I didn't ask for this. Logan dumped everything on me. I'm in way over my head. Nothing works. Everything I touch breaks more. Can you please just tell me what I'm doing wrong? Carla stared at the screen, slowly chewing a bite of leftover pasta. She didn't feel hate, not even frustration. What she felt was colder, like standing outside your house, watching it burn coffee in hand. Detached, done. She hit archive. No reply. Not because she lacked empathy, but because the problem wasn't Jason. It was Logan. It was Ravenhold's entire machine pretending to care about innovation while hollowing out the people who made it work. Jason was just the latest clueless kid tossed into deep water by a leadership team fluent in jargon but allergic to actual competence. By Tuesday, the emails were longer, more panicked. Subject, RE please time 4:37 a.m. body, Carla. I'm begging you. I didn't know they were letting you go. I didn't know about the systems or keys or any of it. Logan said it would just run itself. He tried to deploy to prod with a broken staging image. I swear I'm not the enemy. I'm just trying not to lose this internship. Still no reply. Carla was busy polishing her resume. 3 interviews lined up. First one with a quiet Boston-based startup focused on data ethics. The founder's vibe, calm, respectful, asked real questions, and actually read her code samples. When Ravenhold came up, she called it a management storm. I built secure systems, she said. They weren't interested in secure. She didn't say, they handed my entire kingdom to a panicking intern, and now they're drowning in their own incompetence. But Carla thought it. A lot. Back at Ravenhold, the tension was thick enough to spread on toast. One evening, a signal message popped up from Priya, a former engineer on Carla's old team. Priya, hey, no pressure, but what the hell is happening over there? Carla, just poor planning. Priya, understatement of the century. Logan was in full meltdown. DevOps was duct taping systems just to fake uptime. Carla flashed back to a meeting 6 months earlier, just her Logan and their now missing IT lead Derek. She'd warned them consolidating admin access into one vault was a terrible idea. Redundancy mattered. So did encryption hygiene. Logan had smirked. Carla, you're thinking like a bunker builder. We need agility. Well, now the bunker was sealed tight and they were rattling the doors like raccoons, trying to open a safe. Deadlines were looming. Marketing had gone quiet. Sales started asking odd questions. Product managers were sending invites titled Quick Sync. Clients weren't getting demos. Test environments couldn't replicate. Sandbox accounts kept erroring with unauthorized deployment context messages. Errors Carla had warned them about in her offboarding doc. Ones they never read. And Jason, poor kid, was sending daily emails. Each one more desperate. One ended with, I'm not trying to take your place. I'm just trying not to drown. Carla reread that line 3 times, then closed her laptop. Outside, a slow spring rain tapped the windows. She poured some tea, sat on the floor with her cat, and let out her first deep breath in weeks. Because this wasn't just about the job anymore. It was about watching the people who tried to erase her face a truth they never saw coming. You don't fire the architect and expect the building to stand. The call came just after noon on Thursday. Unknown number. Carla let it ring. Twice, then picked up. She liked to know what kind of idiocy she was dealing with before sending it to voicemail purgatory. Hi, Carla. This is Karen from People Operations at Ravenhold Systems. Do you have a moment, People Operations? God, they couldn't even call it HR anymore. Corporate euphemism, bingo. All that was missing was someone offering emotional offboarding closure support. Go ahead, Carla said, her tone drywall flat. We've been receiving troubling reports, Karen began. It appears certain core systems you managed are now underperforming or, well, completely inaccessible. Carla sipped her tea. Several employees, engineers mostly believe there may be inconsistencies in your handover. And if any sabotage occurred post-termination that could be considered a breach of your NDA. There it was, the threat, wrapped in pastel politeness and corporate fog, like a lavender-scented dagger. Carla didn't flinch, didn't argue, just said, "So you're accusing me of sabotaging a system you don't even understand." Based on hearsay from an unpaid intern and a VP who thinks deploy is a magic button. Pause. A throat clear from Karen, probably wondering if Carla was recording. She was. I just want to understand what might have gone wrong, Karen finally said. Check your inbox, Carla replied and hung up. Then she forwarded a file titled Ravenhold Jazz System, Transition, Full, Export, Final.pf. It had everything. Numbered sections, appendices, encryption key procedures, time-stamped version control logs, access policies, backup protocols bolded, red-flagged, repeatedly ignored. She even included a Slack thread from 3 months prior where she warned Logan that consolidating admin rights under one IAM role was a single point of failure nightmare. His response? A shrugging monkey gif. Carla didn't add a message, just hit send. Let the file do the talking. By late afternoon, her phone buzzed again. From Jason Perry, Object. I'm so sorry, Body. I didn't mean for any of this. I swear. I'm just trying to survive this internship. I haven't slept more than 3 hours all week. They keep telling me to fix it, but I don't even know what it is anymore. Dev environment died yesterday. Now Prod's just returning blank Jason. Please, Carla, I'm begging you. Just tell me what to do. She read it 3 times. Didn't respond. She didn't need to. The building was already on fire, and they were still trying to find the front door. Jason was unraveling. His subject lines had shifted from chipper to fractured. No more emojis. His punctuation was slipping. Every word read like it had been launched from a sinking lifeboat. Carla didn't reply. Not yet. She opened the spreadsheet she'd started weeks earlier, Ravenhold failure timeline. March 4th, terminated. March 6th, first email from intern. March 8th, first internal failure. March 10th, contractor hired. March 13th, contractor gone. March 14th, legal threat from HR. March 15th, compliance package submitted. Every line backed with receipts, emails, Slack threads, Git commits, timestamps that read like a quiet sermon titled, You Should Have Listened. And now, the company was in free fall. A message pinged from a former team lead via a Proton mail. Alias, we just lost a week's worth of client data. Backups failed. They're calling it a scheduled reset. Jason looked like he might vomit during the last stand-up. Carla sent one reply. Tell Jason to stop blaming himself. This was never his system to fix. Even now, after the gaslighting, the threats, the deflection, she didn't want Jason to be destroyed. She wanted the people who used him to get burned, not the matchstick. Everyone watching from inside outside, and the sidelines was no longer seeing just a laid-off engineer. They were watching a storm. A woman disrespected, discarded, underestimated, and now untouchable. Carla wasn't sabotaging the system. She was the system, and they were just realizing they never had the manual. The video came in silently via Signal. No subject line, just a file weekly sync hell edition. Mauve sent by Priya. Emoji. Carla paused, then clicked. It was a screen recording of Ravenhold's Thursday status sync, meeting a painfully named Zoom call. Logan insisted on calling mission alignment checkpoint. 8 rectangles lined the screen each, a portrait of exhaustion or forced enthusiasm. Like jurors on day 3 of a tax fraud trial. Logan paced mid-frame like a TED Talk dropout. "This is insanity," he barked, arms waving. "We had a working prototype. Carla's prototype. Now it's just rogue legacy code stitched together with duct tape." Carla hit pause. Let the silence speak for itself. "We're 2 weeks out from the investor summit and nothing works," Logan snapped. "Nothing. We had a working prototype, Carla's prototype." He tossed a dry erase marker across the room, even though no one had touched a whiteboard in months. The camera wobbled. Jason looked like a deer on the freeway, pale, slouched, blinking like he hadn't slept in days. When he finally spoke, his voice was small but steady. "It's not legacy code. It's structured. Just secured. The systems aren't broken." He added, "We just don't have access." Logan turned on him, fury in his eyes. "Are you defending her? She left us this disaster." Jason didn't flinch. "She documented everything. I read the handover. She told you not to consolidate permissions. She warned you." Priya's camera flickered. Someone coughed. A sales lead tried to jump in with, "Should we circle back to the investor deck?" "No," Logan barked, slamming the desk. "We are not circling back. We're fixing this now," or were the video cut there? But Carla had already smirked so hard she had to set down her tea. She watched the clip again, slower the second time. Jason didn't flinch when he defended her. He meant every word. He finally saw the bones of the system and realized it wasn't Carla who broke anything. It was Logan. Logan tossed out the blueprint. Carla leaned back and exhaled, slow, satisfied. The kind of breath you take when the last puzzle piece clicks into place. By 6 p.m., 2 emails hit her inbox. The first was from Louis, an old DevOps guy who used to debate semicolon placement like it was gospel. "Things ended messy," he wrote. "But you were always 10 steps ahead. Should have said that sooner." The second was from Sharon in product someone Carla barely knew. "You stayed late to help me recover a corrupted user table before a demo once. I saw the meeting. You deserved better. Still rooting for you." That one hit harder, because for 3 years, Carla had been the quiet one, the builder, the doer, not the talker, not the credit taker. Logan had stood on Carla's architecture and pitched investors like he wrote the code himself. But now the platform was crumbling under his feet, and he had no clue how deep the cracks went. Carla reopened her spreadsheet. Collapse. Phase 8:11. Primary CI/CD pipeline still failing. Staging environment non-functional. VP meltdown documented. Support messages confirmed. She added a note to herself in bold. They're not afraid of the system. They're afraid because they finally realized who was holding it together. She didn't forward the meltdown video, didn't leak it, didn't even drop a subtweet like accountability has entered the chat. No need. The truth was already spreading quietly, steadily, like smoke under a door. She didn't need revenge. She had receipts and a front row seat. Then came the envelope, thick, cream-colored, certified mail. No return address, just that familiar watermark of corporate desperation bleeding through expensive paper. Carla rolled her eyes before opening it. 6 pages of legal fluff crafted with lawyerly vagueness and dressed in faux concern. But somewhere around paragraph 3, buried beneath terms like business continuity, risk, and engagement in good faith, was the real reason they wrote. A critical infrastructure access token remains unaccounted for. They believed it had been integrated into a containerized microservice under Carla's purview. There, it was the ghost key. She hadn't built it for power, but for security. Hidden deep in a hardened microservice. Isolated, untouchable. It authenticated every token issued by the central system. Without it, no login, no build, no deploy. It was the spinal cord of the whole platform. And Carla had made sure it was unreachable, encrypted, air-gapped, and stored on a device never connected to any network. She sipped from her documentation "Is My Love Language" mug while reading the whole letter. They weren't asking for forgiveness. They weren't offering compensation. They were begging for access. Her name was nowhere near the runtime logic. No signatures, no breadcrumbs. She'd scrubbed it clean. And now, the legal team couldn't touch her unless they wanted to admit they'd ignored every protocol in the handoff packet she'd handed them months ago. They called it a token. She called it checkmate. They didn't even understand what it was. Carla slid the letter back into its envelope and tucked it into a folder labeled "Nice Try." No reply, no explanation, just silence. She had better things to do. Her new role, principal systems architect at an ethical AI startup in Boston, was already in motion. They'd flown her out first class for onboarding. Hotel coffee that didn't taste like regret. The CTO met her in person, asked real questions about system durability, not just buzzword compliance. "We want systems that last," he said, "not ones that demo well and die in production. Dual monitors, a quiet workspace, and a team that actually listened." When she flagged a permissions leak in the onboarding API, they thanked her. Fixed it before lunch. No gaslighting, no performative shrugging. It was such a contrast that she laughed out loud while filling out her benefits packet. Fully remote, yes. Healthcare that didn't induce dread, yes. Mentoring, budget, yes. Salary 27% higher than Ravenhold, and respect, immediate. That night after dinner with her new team, she checked her inbox. 3 emails from Ravenhold. Subject lines shrinking by the hour. Re-access, token, critical deadline, please respond urgent. System lock. She closed the laptop, stepped out onto her hotel balcony, breathed in the crisp Boston spring air still tinged with winter. No anger, no smugness, just peace. For the first time in years, she didn't need to fight to be understood. She wasn't justifying architecture to executives who thought encryption meant password-protected PDFs. She wasn't warning them anymore. They'd ignored her when it mattered. Now they could sit in the dark because the ghost key that still lived with her. And she owed them nothing. The rumors started small Twitter threads, popcorn emojis, tech recruiters whispering Ravenhold 2.0 launches Friday. Then came the vague LinkedIn posts from interns about bold new chapters and next-gen cloud experiences. Carla read every one of them with a slow-building grin. The investor demo was real. Friday, 11:00 a.m. Eastern. They were planning to showcase her platform without the master key. Still broken, still blind, and still pretending they had it under control. Somewhere in a panic-soaked conference room, Logan was probably sweating through his overpriced startup hoodie, pitching investors like everything was fine. Meanwhile, Jason was duct-taping whatever half-broken services he could into a demo shell. But the platform didn't tolerate brute force. Carla had built in a fail-safe 5 failed access attempts and the system would lock itself down. Permanently. No logins, no deploys, no pretending, just blackout. Jason must have known what was coming. His final email arrived Thursday night at 10:42 p.m. Subject, please body. I know I've already said too much. I know I've probably made it worse. But I'm asking you one last time, please just tell me where the key is. They're going to fake the demo tomorrow. And if it fails, they'll blame me. I'm not asking for help. Just mercy. Carla stared at the screen. She opened a reply and typed, Jason, this was never your fault. You were thrown into a fire built by people who should have known better. The key exists, but it was never meant for people who treated my work like it was disposable. She paused, deleted it, then typed, it's taped under a sink next to something that smells like regret and instant coffee. Good luck. Deleted that too. She sat back, fingers hovering. Then she shut the laptop. No reply. Not yet. She walked to the window. The moon hung low like a quiet witness over Boston's skyline. On her desk sat a welcome gift from her new office, a succulent in a pot that read, "You got this," next to her fresh security badge. It was midnight. Friday had arrived. She circled 11:00 a.m. on the calendar in red. Demo day. No need to watch. She already knew how it would end. She had the key. They had hubris. The countdown had hit 0. At 11:00 sharp, the live stream began. Sleek countdown, stock server footage, lo-fi synth pulsing like a nervous heartbeat, the chat filled with VCs, bloggers, and hype chasers. Everyone was ready to watch the next big thing. Carla just sipped her seltzer and smiled. They were about to watch it burn. Carla didn't tune in right away. She didn't need to. She sat barefoot in her Boston apartment, stirring coffee on the cool kitchen tile, while the world she left behind marched toward its own collapse. At exactly 11:00 a.m., her phone buzzed. "Priya, it's happening. They're live." She stood, walked calmly to her laptop, and opened the link. There he was, Ravenhold's CEO, grinning too wide for someone who'd never written a single line of code. Behind him, a screen bloated with buzzwords: synergy, velocity, integrity. "We at Ravenhold," he beamed, arms outstretched like a dollar store Steve Jobs, "are proud to unveil our next-generation platform, scalable, modular, future-proof." Carla muttered, "God help me," and took a sip. Behind him, Jason stood by the demo screen, already sweating under studio lights. A second window popped up. The platform's dashboard flickered to life. For a second, it seemed to work. Then came the stall. Jason clicked, waited, clicked again. The screen went black. Fatal error. Encrypted kernel signature not found. Authentication failed. Root chain invalid. The CEO turned. "Jason." No answer. The screen flashed again, gray silent final. System lockdown engaged. Unauthorized access. Threshold exceeded. The livestream chat exploded. LMAO? Did they just brick the demo? What's an encrypted kernel signature? Is this real? The CEO froze. Logan, visible off camera, looked like he'd swallowed a snowball. Jason stared into the lens like a man watching the edge crumble beneath his feet. Carla opened her inbox. The final draft reply to Jason's last message still sat there. She moved the cursor. No hesitation, no flourish, just the truth. "Your boss should have paid me what I was worth. Send." She closed the tab, didn't bother checking the headlines, the hashtags, the stock dip. She'd already seen it all in her head and her notes in their panicked Slack logs. In the silence, she'd weaponized with surgical precision. She stepped out onto her balcony. The city was stretching awake. Lights spilled over rooftops. Cars hummed quietly below. In one hand, a glass of wine. In the other, peace. No mic drop, no smirk. Just the quiet satisfaction of walking away while the fire told the story. Thanks for watching. And hey, smash that subscribe button, or your coffee might stage a rebellion. If you've made it this far, I'd love to know what you think. Drop a comment below. Tell me if you've ever had to walk away from something broken just to protect your peace. This story isn't just mine. It's a reflection of anyone who's been underestimated, overworked, or pushed aside. If Carla reminded you of yourself or someone you respect, let her know in the comments. And here's my advice: never let people who don't understand your value decide your worth. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do isn't to fight back, it's to walk away with your dignity intact.